Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, how's it going? I hope you are having a fabulous day and a great start to your weekend. My name is Teresa and every weekend I talk about the new makeup and beauty and skincare releases that you and I want to talk about. Now when I say you and I mean my fabulous subscribers, followers, etc. Tag me over on Instagram in relation to the new makeup releases that they think are worth talking about. So I want to display their names there. Thank you so much. And do keep in mind, if you ever want me to discuss anything, you can tag me yourself. It's all part of the thing. I also want to say a massive thank you to my YouTube community members. You're rather wonderful, you know the general drill. It's a whole thing. I will schedule a live very, very soon. We're coming up to our Easter break here, so I will be able to get some time over a weekend, etc. to give you a good bit of a hangout, and I want to show you some extra bits that I've shoved into the goodie pile, as Wilma says, her drag name in high school. But we do have quite a few things to talk about, so grab your tea, your coffee, your beverage of choice, and let's get into it. So we have known that this has been coming for quite some time. I think they announced it way back at the end of 2023, maybe the beginning of 2024. This is the Glamlite and Kiss collection and it is available right now. So there's a palette in there for $36. There's the Lick It Up lip kit for $14, a mascara duo for $16, a Kiss Army mirror for $26, black and white base for $14. They also have this lenticular motion makeup bag for $35. Now if you really like that, just be aware it's not as part of the overall bundle or PR box. You can get the full collection without the bag in a PR box for $120, or you can get the full collection without the PR box for $99. Right, there's a lot to talk about here. Can I just first say I was kind of surprised that they did edit it down as much as they did. Any of the collections that they've done thus far have had like 1,000,001 things in this, and this is actually quite pared down. Like theoretically they could have done a whole thing of like, here's a palette for all 4 of the band members, one for each of them, which would have been, let's be real, overkill. But I do appreciate that they edited this down. I think they've kind of been taking that on board with people. Now my lovely friend Buttons, thank you so much, actually reached out to some friends of hers who are into the overall rock metal genre thing, and she asked their opinions on this, and they generally kind of said yeah, the colours kind of made sense based upon the band members' personas, which I'm like, okay, that's cool, that makes sense. Like for instance, we have the Demon, which is like all for the row of reds, Starchild, which is purples, Spaceman, which is blues, and Catman, which is green. Now of course Buttons also found that people were saying like Kiss are terrible sellouts, which I'm like, well, you know what, if somebody was offering me enough money, you never know, I'd probably sell all sorts of things. Now the palette itself, again, it kind of depends. I think if you've kind of bought a lot of Glamlite to date, you're gonna look at this and be like, I don't need this, and you're probably right, you don't. If you look at their collections from say, well just say from Scream onwards, there's a lot of overlap here. If you have the Rick and Morty palette, you're gonna have a lot of the shades here. If you have the Scooby-Doo palettes, you're gonna have a lot of shades here. So I don't think this palette is necessarily for the Glamlite collector. I think this is specifically for Kiss fans. And I did see over on Glamlite there were a lot of people like being really positive about this, and they were like really vibing with it. The palette itself also comes with like a particular PR case, which is like made to look like it's sort of like sound equipment, and it has all the like sparklies, which I'm like, that's a nice detail. It's $36, it's not wildly expensive. It's fine. I do feel Glamlite are getting to the point of Colourpop where they've done so many releases, it's getting very difficult for them not to kind of dupe themselves. Like even in the palette itself, and it does look pretty nice, there's like I think only one shade in there that I'm like, okay, that's quite interesting, and it's that kind of grey toned purple. But outside of that, I'm like, I think I could dupe this out of stuff that I have or their existing collection. But I mean, it's not bad at all. The makeup bag, I mean, that's going to sell really well, because you don't obviously have to use that as a makeup bag. People could use it as like just a general bag, and has that cool lenticular thing. Like that seems to be their thing. They're like, can we make this a lenticular motion item? Yes, let us do that. But there's a lot of detail on this. Like they've even got the Kiss emblem embossed on the outside. They have all of the little symbols for each of the band members on the inside. So it's actually really well thought out. It is $35. It's super spendy. But at the same time, I actually feel like for a merchandised item, that is to that quality. It's actually not that bad. And it brings me back to the eternal question that I've never gotten an answer for. How does Glamlite do it for that price? You know, indie brands normally aren't able to do that. So I do find that extremely interesting. Then the eye bases. Well, they're put down as being bases, like a makeup base. So there's a black and a white, they come together. I think this is spot on. They had to do this. 10 out of 10 for this one. I think this is the best part of the collection. It speaks to the band overall, but also just a very, very useful item. Now, I've noticed that they had like their eye frosting primer. I think it was part of the Frosted Flakes thing, and that was a white primer, and that's been gone for a while, so I think that they were thinking about this for quite some time. I like this. Do I think maybe they could have like done with giving a little bit more product? Possibly. Only if you're going to use your base makeup in the same way that Kiss do, because I feel like they'd fling themselves through that very, very quickly. But it does look extremely pigmented. I think out of all of this is the bit that I am the most interested in. And they did kind of showcase it along with the shadows on top. I think this is super, super smart. I hope eventually they start to sell the two of these separately, because I think I would get a lot more use out of the white than I would with the black. I'm always looking for like a really good white base, so I think that's smart. Then we have the Lick It Up lip kit. Now, I don't think this is necessarily the best. I think it's too similar to the Scream lip kit. Like even the packaging is very, very similar. The tone is a lot more orange leaning than the Scream one. However, the way that they've packaged this, you know, the little Kiss embossing on the actual lipstick, that is gorgeous. It looks so, so cute. I did see a couple of people saying they kind of missed a trick in that there's no black bullet lipstick, and I agree. I think that would have been so, so smart. But this is actually very affordable. It's only $14, so I can't even really critique it that hard on that. I just feel, again, there's a little bit too much similarity between previous releases. And even though they've edited it down quite a bit, like they don't have 1,000,001 things, I feel like maybe these could have been considered a little bit more. Then we have their mascara duo. So one is a primer and one is obviously then your general mascara. This isn't for me. I have rubbish lashes. You all know this. I've talked about this at length. But the price is very, very good. I think it's like $16 or something like that. I don't know. I wrote it down earlier. Yes, $16. So $16 for two mascaras. I mean, that's cheaper than drugstore. Again, how the heck are they doing it? I don't understand. Now, I will say the mascara ones themselves don't look like they're anything amazing, but I mean, this is pretty decent. I think this is very much the sort of thing that people kind of fling into their basket if they're like, oh, I'm due a mascara. Because I mean, it's not expensive, so why not? The thing that I thought was I don't want to say the most let down, but I was like, is the mirror. I had visions, because they've been doing amazing mirrors, you know, like 3D, Scream, etc. And I had visions, and I said this, that they were going to do one for each of the band members, you know, Gene Simmons, tongue out, blah, all of that. I thought we were going to see something like that. I think that was a missed opportunity. That could have been very, very cool. You could have selected which one to have, or you could have had all four, because they seem to just love making mirrors. Which, you know, fair enough. But they just went with the standard Kiss army, which feels, I don't know, and it looks like it's very flat. There's not even any like embellishment on it. Now they do have stickers on the actual mirror itself for each of the four band members in an attempt to represent them. Now, I believe people have been saying they think it's great. Personally, I'm just like, you could have pushed the boat out further with this one. I think that could have been absolutely iconic, because I mean, each of those band members are so incredibly recognizable when they're all done up. Like Catman, can you imagine that as a mirror? That would be so cool. And I mean, they have the means to do it, so I think it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. So I don't know. In all though, I think it's a fine collection. I'm not a fan of Kiss. You know, no big issue there. They're just not my kind of thing. But I think this does seem to represent them based upon what I'm hearing from people. It's a fairly dialed back collection. Probably could have been dialed back a little bit further or edited further. But in all, I'm actually not going to critique it that much on that, because I actually think it's done pretty okay. And I mean, there was so much hype on this because they were generating some buzz around this for quite some time. Let's be real. I mean, this has been going on for months. So now we know what it looks like. It's done, it's available now, you can grab it if you are interested. But when I put it to you guys and I showed you kind of the sneak peek first, 24% of you said that you were excited to see it, 33% said we'll see, and 43% said that you were over it. And I think this might be something that Glamlite experiences over the next while, is like the oversaturation. They've got a lot of IPs, close to 100. And if we're going to see a new collection every month, it's going to be a lot. It's very Colourpop-esque. When I showed you the palette, 41% of you loved it, 32% said not for me, and 28% said that you can dupe with palettes that you already have. The makeup bag actually didn't do that great. 17% of you loved it, while 83% said not for me. The lipstick also didn't do great. 22% love it. The mirror was meh. 16% love it. The duo of mascara was 16% love it. And finally, the makeup base was kind of the best contender outside of the palette. 37% of you love it, and I have to say I kind of agree. I think it's the most interesting piece. Then we have something new coming to Essence and Catrice, because they're essentially sister brands, and Essence has taken on the Harley Quinn aspect of the collection and Catrice have taken on the Joker. Now this isn't available yet, but it is coming soon. There's a lot of stuff here, like everything from highlighters to bronzers to skincare to obviously eyeshadow palettes, eyeliners, nails, like there's everything, brush tools, you name it. Now I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing because they're a very affordable brand, so if you're into the whole DC universe and you're a bit of a collector, this could be the thing for you. Let's talk first about the Essence ones. We have two Harley Quinn eyeshadow palettes. One is more blue and red, which kind of links in with her whole Birds of Prey thing. It's not going to be wildly expensive. I personally don't love circular based eyeshadow palettes. They drive me a bit nuts because I'm like, how do I store those? But you've heard me say that a million times. That's right. You've heard me say it 1,000,001 times now. I'm not so sure about the split pan of like the red and blue and the blue and yellow. I mean, the blue and yellow is really odd. It's in the other pink one. That's so like disjointed. It's like all pinky purples and then blue and yellow. Where the feck did that come from? Like, it is kind of out there. But I do feel like the packaging itself, it doesn't look bad. Like, if it's like, what, 14, 15 euro, I think it's like a decent collector's item. Now, Essence itself, they have some definitely excellent staple items. Like their contour duo is one of my favorites. I really, really enjoy it. I tend to repurchase it quite a bit. So you never know. It could actually be really, really good. I think they have a lot of heavy hitters. They've a lot more Harley Quinn stuff as well. There's two highlighters, and I think the highlighters that they've chosen are so, so smart. There's one that's more a blue and one that's more of a pink. And I mean, that's kind of perfect for Harley. Like, I think it's so, so cute. They've also got like some pink face powder, which, I mean, if you've been on TikTok social media, you have seen that pink face powder, like setting powder, has become a thing over the last while. It's just become super, super popular. So I guess Essence are getting in on that. But at the same time, it actually makes sense. And the little powder puff is adorable. The makeup bag, I actually think, is fabulous. Really, really nice. They have some hydrogel patches as well for your eyes or your under eye. Maybe don't put them onto your eyes, which, I mean, that's grand. Pop them into the fridge. You never know. A little bit of self-care. I'm kind of interested in this glow stick thing because it reminds me a smidgen of the Ciate London's Dew Sticks, and that surprised me as to how much I like that. So I'd love to see how similar that is. And then they have these jelly lipsticks, which I'm like, is that what we're calling lip balm? There's so many lip balms everywhere now. Like, you can't move for all of the lip balm. But the shades themselves aren't bad at all. I do think that kind of like orangey red needed to be more blue toned red, because in the movie Birds of Prey, Harley does wear a more blue toned red. I think that would have worked a little bit better. The lip glosses, I mean, those are super, super cute. Even the packaging, it's not bad at all. The pink and the blue, very, very cute. They then have some mascaras. So there's a purple one and a blue one. I mean, Essence generally tend to do pretty well with their mascaras. They have their, is it Princess one or something? I don't know. I can't even keep up. So I'm wondering if this is a similar formula but with purple and blue. I've said this many a time before. I find coloured mascaras really interesting, particularly for the bottom lashes. But most brands that do the coloured ones are so expensive that I'm like, what is even the point? So this could be a really great little alternative. They then have some random face gems because, I mean, why not? Let's have some face gems in there. colour. I do feel like the clear ones don't make a huge amount of sense. I think they could have just gotten rid of that and maybe in the middle have like half blue and half pink, and maybe the center ones be like almost like fighting out the colour of like half blue, half pink in the gem, where it's like they're meshing together. That could have been kind of cool. But otherwise it just feels a little bit The scrunchies are adorable, the 90s are back, but thankfully not with the same broadband speeds. Not that we had broadband, we had just a terrible, terrible dial-up. But I actually think those are kind of cute. Then they have these little nail polishes. I think they're meant to be multi-chrome or hollow effect or something. Yeah, they say they're hollow bomb effect. I'd love to see those on the nails to see what the story is, because I'm kind of intrigued by that. Then they have a beauty blender, which, can I just say, I'm surprised they haven't gotten into trouble for this, because I thought Beauty Blender was like a branded name. Maybe I'm just really stupid. So kind of unusual that they haven't called it like Sponge or something, but there you go. And then like a little face brush, which looks super, super cute. I actually like the way that they've done the handle on that. In terms of the shape of the brush, like of the ferrules, etc., I don't think there's anything wildly amazing about that that really piques my interest. Then when we move over to the Joker side of the collection, there's this purple palette, and I have to say, I saw the outside of it. I couldn't get the outside of the other one, but that actually looks kind of cool. Like, is it just me? Have I lost my mind? I actually think this looks quite cool. I don't particularly love the difference in the like pan shapes. That's just me. The weird shade in there that's like the purple and bluey lavender, that slightly confuses me. I don't really see what that's doing in there, but it reminds me a little bit of like, I think Lethal Cosmetics have like some shadows like that. Not that I'm saying they're at the same level as Lethal, my goodness, they're not. But I mean, this is kind of interesting. I feel like it doesn't have a very good level of depth though, which is kind of weird. Like, you would expect that you would see something like that. There's a lot of light shades in there, and like you only have two greens really in there. One is like a very light chartreuse, and then one is a deeper chartreuse shimmer. And even the shimmer, you don't get a huge amount of that. I mean, I suppose there's like a very, very light chartreuse. It's very purple heavy. If you love purple, that's great, but like the Joker is kind of purple and green, so it feels a little bit like disjointed and a little bit uneven in a way. I don't know. It has some potential, but it's not fully there. But again, it's gonna be relatively affordable, so like it's fine. And they do have this green tone palette then instead if you want that, but then with random oranges in there. Look, let me just say this, they did not need to have the two palettes. What they should have done was take some of the interesting shades from this palette and shove it into the other one and just be done with it, because otherwise it makes absolutely no sense. That shade with the black and like the orange and the green, it looked really interesting, but can you imagine how weird that's gonna look over time? Very, very strange. Again, not a lot of depth with this. There's one very dark green and it looks like it's a matte. Yeah, it does look like it's a matte. I don't know, there's not a lot of depth in this. Ooh, it's okay. I think again, this is very much like a collector's item, but other than that, it ain't for me. They have some more eye toppery bits. The eye toppers I actually think are super, super cool. I'd love to see what they look like on the eye, because one is like more green toned and one is more lilac-y. I think that is smart. They could have done without one of the eyeshadow palettes and they could have gone with this instead. I think that's very, very cool. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see it with a white base, a black base, and then with no base, just to see what the story is. Then they also have some liquid eyeliners. I'm not against those. It looks like a nice fine tip. We'll see what they're like. Do they smudge, what the story is, but it's not bad at all. They then have a lip oil. Can I just say, out of all of the things, I feel like the packaging on this one is 20 out of 10. I actually think this is so incredibly cool. And I mean, lip oils are everywhere. We're never going to get away from them. I actually don't think this is bad at all. Then there's two lipsticks. Again, the packaging on this is quite strong. I think they only needed to do one lipstick though, if I'm 100% honest. I don't think they needed that dusty rosy pink. I'm sure it's beautiful, but it doesn't entirely make sense with the Joker. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not fully there. And I also, again, think this could have been a much like deeper, vampier red, just to be a bit more you know? But they also then have these lip patches, which I actually think are kind of cool. Like, they're fine. I don't really see anything Joker-esque about them, but like, I mean, it kind of makes sense. They're doing a lot of stuff as part of this collection. Now, what I do find interesting is that there's 3 shades of liquid blush. That's quite interesting because I don't really know that much about Catrice in that sense, but they're very affordable, and some of these shades are quite interesting. I think particularly that deep purple shade. I would love to see that swatched on a deeper skin tone, and by swatched I actually mean applied. Maybe apply it on, because swatches will only tell you so much. I do like the orangey one. I feel like the pinky one would look a little bit weird on me, but they're not bad at all. And again, packaging is pretty good. I'm very confused by the bronzer, right? I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with them, but I'm confused in relation to the IP. The Joker is not somebody who's very like sun-kissed. You know, he's about as close to a vampire as you can get without saying that he's a vampire. Like, he's super pale. Like, that's the whole thing. So a bronzer feels very disjointed and away from what we would know of the Joker. So I think they could have gotten rid of that element because it doesn't make a huge amount of sense. I do appreciate that they have 2 tones in there though. Like, there's a lighter one and a slightly deeper one. Again, I think that, you know, if you're going to do it, maybe do an extra one to have it be extra deep, or just don't do it. Like, it's a bit weird. Then there's some lashes, and I have to say one of them has like this purple one, which is very, very cool. And then the other one, it looks like there's like little tinges of green and little tinges of purple in there. I like that. I do. I genuinely think that's quite cool. If I see those, I would actually think of getting them because I do like lashes that look a little bit different. They then have their body tattoos. Is this making anybody else flashback to their childhood? Because I used to remember getting these and just like putting them all over my arms and being like, yeah, I'm so cool, I'm so hard. But it makes sense with the Joker, particularly with Jared Leto's Joker. Sorry, I say that in such a way. I don't like Jared Leto. But his Joker had a load of tattoos. So I'm like, okay, they were very bad tattoos. They looked really bad. So I guess if you want some really gammy looking things, then go for it. There's a lot of face and body care as part of this. It's really random. There's the Too Faced face serum, which they've missed a trick. I wonder, did they want to put Too Faced in there because a Too Faced face serum? I don't understand what the 2 phases are. That's not very clear, but there you go. There's a body lotion and there's a hair and body mist. I think that the hair and body mist actually looks the nicest in terms of like the packaging. It's not bad. Like, it's a drugstore brand, and I feel like they've done a lot in terms of their packaging. And then the very last thing that they have is a brush bag, and then there's 2 brushes that seem to be coming as part of this collection. Again, in terms of brushes, there's nothing there that I'm kind of looking at and being like, oh my god, yeah, the shapes in there are so unique. They're okay, they're very generic. They're not something that I would be like, okay, they'd be perfect for this or they'd be perfect for that. They're fine. I personally wouldn't end up using them. The brush bag, I don't know if they necessarily needed that. It just looks a little bit kind of like last minute inclusion. In all, I mean, I think they've tried to basically do it so that between the Harley Quinn Essence collection and the Catrice Joker collection, that you could do a full face, bar foundation and concealer. Because I mean, you've got your highlighter, you've got your blush, you've got your bronzer, you've got several eyeshadow palettes, you've got lip oils, lipsticks, lip glosses, lashes, mascaras, eyeliners. Like, literally, they've done a whole face. And you can take care of your body too. And there's scrunchies as well. Actually, there's a lot in that. I do feel like it could have been edited, for sure. There's some bits that are just like, what the hell is this? And it just feels a little bit like, close your eyes, pop that one in there. It is very disjointed to me. There are definitely bits in this that I feel are a little bit better than others, and I would be somewhat interested in seeing. It's not bad. And again, I think for people who are collectors of DC, this is a great opportunity for them to pick up a few things without absolutely blowing like an insane amount of their budget. In saying that though, obviously if you got the whole lot, that would be super expensive. So, you know, maybe think about things carefully. Anyways, when I showed it to you guys and I showed you the Essence lip gloss highlighters and lip jellies, 7% of you loved it, 76% said not for me, and 17% said that it depended on the swatches. When I showed you the scrunchies, the nail polishes, the mascaras, and they have these little nail stickers, 7% of you loved it and 93% said not for me. When I showed you the Essence Harley Quinn palette, 5% of you loved it. That did not do well at all. Then when I showed you the makeup bag, the gems, the hydrogel, and the beauty blender set, 6% of you loved it. This really wasn't hugely popular. The Catrice collection then, in terms of the palette, 7% loved it, 25% said depends on the swatches. And I don't understand why brands show things without showing swatches, because, you know, we'll get convinced of a lot of things here. When I showed you the Catrice bronzers, lip oils, and liquid blushes, 7% of you loved it, and 20% said that you like some of it. So, I mean, it was very kind of hit or miss. The lipsticks actually did pretty okay. 16% of you loved it. When I showed you the overall body collection, then 4% of you loved it. 15% said that you like some of it, and the eyeliners did okay-ish. 9% loved it, and 21% said that it depended on the swatches. This time it's Too Faced, and this is their Chocolate Soleil Melting Bronzing and Sculpting Stick, and it's meant to smell like chocolate covered oranges. And I said this before, I'm like, do you mean chocolate oranges? You know, like how you make chocolate orange muffins? Oh, beautiful. There used to be like a filling station near where I lived in Carlow, and they did the best. They made them from scratch. They were so good. Miss those. That I could be, I would be on board with that smell. But chocolate covered orange sounds like you've taken a satsuma and just dipped it in chocolate. And I'm like, I don't really know what that would smell, because I've never thought of like adding an extra layer to my oranges. It's really strange. Anyways, it's a cream bronzer. They're trying to say it's a sculpting stick as well. No, it's not the same thing. I've said this a million times. I don't want to talk about that anymore. It's driving me a bit nuts. What I cannot get over is we've seen a lot of stuff from Too Faced over the last while. I feel like it's been a new launch every 3 weeks, something like that. And I've noticed that their prices are going up and up and up. And I know people are going to be like, it's the cost of living, it's the cost of living. No, living should not be this expensive. And I think this is way too expensive for what this is. Like, who do they think they are? They're trying to charge $35 for this. Now, if it was $25, I don't think I'd really be that bothered. But $35 just seems excessive. Like, don't get me wrong, they do really decent face products. I actually think that's where they shine. Their eyeshadow palettes are okay. They're quite forgettable. But the bits that I enjoy are things like their foundations, their blushes, their bronzers, etc. So I don't actually dislike this. I think it's decent, but the price is terrible. I do like the other things that they're saying of like it's infused with skin loving ingredients. It's like a very vague sort of a thing there. And it's like, okay, so it's vitamin E and squalene. I mean, it's only a little layer on your face, so it's not going to do that much. But at the same time, do you know what? I have very dry skin, so I think that's going to add a little bit of moisture, etc. I'm not against it. I just kind of can't get over the shade range because it's very lacking. Right, let's look at, say for instance, Chocolate Mousse. Like, it looks beautiful on that model. You know, she's quite fair, similar-ish to me. Actually, she's pretty deeper than me. So I don't even know if I could get away with that sort of bronzer because it does look quite heavy. You know, they're saying it's very lightweight, so I don't know. And then the next one up is Chocolate Souffle. Again, looks beautiful on the model. And then we have Chocolate Caramel. And the deepest shade is Chocolate Lava. And I think it's quite telling that the models themselves aren't of the deepest skin tones. And I just find for things like this, you have to be super careful and try to be inclusive. And I mean, we see indie brands actually manage to do it, and they don't have the same budget as the likes of Too Faced. So I genuinely do not get it. Like, it looks like a beautiful bronzer on the girl who's wearing Chocolate Lava, but she's like, what, a medium to deep-ish skin tone? I don't know. But there's definitely, like, I will always say, Lupita Nyong'o, most beautiful woman in the world, there's no shade there that's going to suit her, that's going to work for her. And I just find in this day and age to not have that, it's very, very strange, particularly for like a big brand. They've compared it then to their other bronzers, and they've kind of explained the main differences. Obviously it's cream, it's soft focus, it's medium buildable, and there's a lot of this that I'm like, do you know what, I like the sound of it. I like cream products, right? I have dry skin. I am 33, I'm going to be 34 in May. I know, it's so hard to believe, but I do like cream products. I find that the older that I'm getting, the more forgiving they are. They don't kind of pull on my texture in the same way. That being said, my brain isn't letting me compute the idea of spending $35, because by the time that I come over here, that'll be about maybe 28, maybe 29-ish euro, something like that. So I'm like, that's expensive. That's expensive in my mind. If it was 24 euro, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm being like overly whatever, but I also just feel like they've been pumping out a lot of stuff lately, and I'm getting a bit, I don't want to say fatigued, but it is a lot, and I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. When I put it to you guys, 15% of you loved it, 47% said not for me, and 38% said too expensive. And now, speaking of too expensive, we're actually moving on to an affordable dupe. This is Alter Ego, and they have their Dreamgaze palette, which is available now for €20.95. That is crazy affordable. They have kind of said, hey, we're coming up with something new. If you know anything about Alter Ego, they have a tendency to dupe higher end brands, so they tend to go an awful lot for things like Huda and Natasha Denona. Natasha Denona seems to be a favorite of theirs, and that is very linked in with what we're talking today, because the Dreamgaze palette is very, very closely aligned with the pastel palette that Natasha Denona came out with about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. I feel like it's one of the palettes that she did that didn't get that much hype, because I mean, pastel palettes, they are A, hard to formulate, they can pull really weird on different skin tones, and B, usually people don't go to just pastels to do a look. They'll use it maybe to blend stuff out, so it's rarely ever a one and done palette. So actually, I think that having an affordable dupe of that is not a bad thing, and I say this being like a huge fan of Natasha Denona. I love her stuff, I'm an affiliate, blah blah blah, whatever. But if you have been on the fence and kind of going, oh, don't think I get a lot of use out of the pastel, but I kind of like the vibe of it, this might actually be the one for you. Now, what I don't like about this is that it is a direct copy. I am all for finding a dupe, but when it's a direct copy, it just feels a little bit lazy. Like the layout is even very, very similar to Natasha Denona, and I think they could have improved on some of the issues that were in Natasha's. Like some of those shades are quite similar. The chartreuse green is definitely not necessary. They could have edited it down to maybe a nice little 9-pan palette, and that could have been so, so cute. They'd have done their own version of it. They'd have edited it. It would still be like a dupe, but their own spin on it. I think that would have been really, really nice. I'd like to see that myself. The swatches themselves look okay. However, I believe in this day and age that when you're swatching things like this, particularly a pastel palette, you need to show this on lots of different skin tones. You just do. There's not really much of an excuse for it these days. There's loads of content creators. If you send them the palette, if you compensate them for their time, they'll give you some swatches. There's lots of fabulous people out there that do that. So I find it a bit that they've just shown this on like a pale skin tone. And I think that's probably because this may not work that great on deep skin tone. And it's so difficult for those with the deeper skin tone to find a nice pastel palette that they can really, really vibe with. So I'm not really sure. However, when it's only 21 euros, just under 21 euro, is one of those ones that I could see people like maybe taking a risk on and kind of going, well, it's only 21 euro, so why not? So, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to get it. Obviously, I'm not going to get it. I have the Natasha Denona. I get that some content creators love doing the whole like dupe versus the real one. But I don't want to do that, mainly because I just feel like that's a little bit wasteful on my part. because I just buy it and then leave it there. I do a review and then leave it there. And I've done this before. I know, I've done this before. I don't want to do that again. I only want to buy things that I think I'm going to end up using. I don't want to just buy things for the purpose of doing a topical review or being like, oh, I can get views for my channel, because I'm a tiny channel. I only do this because I enjoy doing it. So I don't want to chase views anymore. I don't think that's healthy for me. But I can see, I suspect that we're going to see a lot of videos comparing the two, you know. And if that's what you're interested in, keep an eye out for those videos. Let me know. Maybe link me in those, because I'm always interested in that sort of thing. I'm nosy and I will watch those things, particularly if I haven't gotten those palettes and could get like a cheaper dupe. I don't think this is bad. I want to see brands that are duping things kind of do things in their own way. Like, say for instance, when W7 dupe stuff, they even keep the layout of the pans, or you know, they did like the Too Faced Sunset Stripped and they kept the same sort of weird layout of the pans, and I'm like, do something different, show your own thing here. I'd like to see that. I think they have the capacity for that because they have apparently some very good formulas. I have one palette there from them, which was their Artemis palette, which was a dupe of the Metropolis, which I got because I couldn't get the Metropolis at the time because it was gone, it was discontinued, and then they brought it back and I was delighted. So it's not a bad one at all, but again, I think I would like to see them kind of do something outside of just dupes, because I think they have the potential there to do that. Then we have Buxom Cosmetics. I never hear much about them. They used to be in Debenhams here back in the day, but this is their Plump Shot Collagen Peptides Advanced Plumping Blush. Right. I mean, we knew that we were going to see over the last couple of years lots more skincare infused in makeup, but I would be surprised if it's at the density that's actually going to have like a massive effect, maybe a minimal effect, which, you know, fair enough. Now, I will say I love peptides. Such a weird thing to say, but I have like the Glow Recipe one that I use. I can't even remember the name of it. All I know is it's the peptide and it's the red bottle, and I smash it onto my face and I love it. I genuinely do. I think if you already have like a decent skincare, this could maybe add on to it. Now they are saying, and I question mark it, clinically proven plumping without the pain. It's blush. Who's using plumping blush? Again, this may be because I'm a fat woman. I don't want plumping blush. I already look like I ate all the Maltesers. I don't need more plumping around here. This may be very, very good for people who are aging, because obviously as you age, you lose a lot of density around your cheekbones, etc. Or if you've had a lot of buccal fat removal, that might be really great for that. But I don't understand why they're saying without the pain, because that's more like something you would say with like a lip plumper, whereas this is meant to be collagen peptide, which is just naturally going to plump your skin, but that doesn't tend to pain. So it's very strange. They say it's a cutting edge blush combining the ease of a cream, the finish of a powder, and our advanced plumping technology that's clinically shown to visibly plump and define cheeks. Guys, you know my feelings when they say clinically shown, because normally they have a tiny sample size. They have not done robust tests. They're not double blinded. The scientist in me goes a little bit like and people use that. They're like, oh, this doesn't mean much, we can dupe people and get them to buy this. This isn't available yet. It's $28, so it's not actually wildly expensive. It's actually within the general realm of well, not affordability, but kind of what you would expect for like a mid-brand blush. I don't think it's bad. It's cruelty-free, so I quite like that. They say that they're creamy, a lightweight texture, and it does look like they're medium buildable. So medium buildable, quite like that. My issue here is the shades are very, very, very pale. I like the one that's Blissful Buff. I think that's a really interesting sort of neutral shade. But there's not really, like, these are all very Caucasians. They're very, very white woman friendly or white person friendly. Outside of that, I just don't understand that. Why not have like more deep shades? I don't really get that. Now keep in mind, if you are looking at this and it looks interesting to you, there are things that you may be allergic to, because I know I have friends who are allergic to these ingredients. Tsubaki avocado and jojoba oils are in those. Great if you're like me and you've dry skin, that'll be fantastic for you, but if you are allergic to those, keep that in mind. I'm somewhat intrigued. I just kind of think that the shade range is a bit like, like it's a bit lacking. They do look stunning on the models, but again, the models are not as inclusive as you might expect. You know, we're just going to about the medium skin tone there. Very, very fair people are covered, which, I mean, we've never really had much of an issue there. The shades themselves, I actually don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it needs to be extended, and I kind of wish they'd taken a little bit more time in doing that. I am intrigued for sure, but we'll see. Maybe I'll pick it up. I think if I was to get any of them, it would definitely be the Blissful Buff. I think that's quite interesting for sure. Then we have Rare Beauty, and I feel like this really went under the radar. I talked about the fact that they were coming out with a new highlighter months ago, and Rare Beauty actually contacted me and they're like, please take that video down. And I was like, I will, because I do not want to be an arsehole. But these are actually available now, and it looks like these are similar to the ones, although the one that I showed was very red toned. So I'm like, oh, when are we getting that? So we have two new shades. They are available now. They're $25 each. There's Reveal, which is a warm copper, and Reflect, which is a deep bronze. I'm so glad that they've added those in, because I mean, I have 4 already, the kind of paler shades. Obviously these 2 new shades, they're not going to work for me. They're not going to be highlighters for me, but this was definitely needed to be much more inclusive. And I mean, I need you to look at these on the model, right? There's one here and the person is wearing Reflect, and it just looks stunning on them. Like, the thing is, I actually think that that was one of my favorite highlighters of last year, or maybe the year before. I can't even remember. It's a much beloved highlighter, and I think it's been very frustrating, the fact that the brand hasn't actually been as inclusive as they could have been on this, you know. I'd like to have seen this all come out at the same time, but hey, we'll give them points for doing it. But how gorgeous does it look on that person's skin? It looks absolutely stunning. And then there's another picture here of the person wearing the shade Reveal, and again, it's just this beautiful lit from within, which is exactly what you get with Rare Beauty's highlighters. And I hate the phrase lit from within, but it does actually kind of fit with this, and I do kind of love it. It looks stunning on them. I'm so glad that they have finally expanded on that. I will go to my grave saying that I think that if you're doing any sort of a line, you do need to be inclusive. Please, 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 if you're starting off with it, have something that is going to fit as much of the demographic as you can have, or it's going to be feeling like you're leaving these people as like a last kind of idea or a last thought. And it's so sad that, you know, people had to wait, what, a year and a half or something to have a shade that'll suit them. I guess better late than never, but it does look absolutely stunning on the models, like, let's be real. Then we have Colourpop, who are trying to convince us again that they're doing something new, and I could have sworn when I saw this, I was like, why am I being tagged in this? We've seen this before. It's the Baroque palette that they came out with about 2 to 3 years ago. No, it's not. This is actually, they're trying to say this is a new one, and I'm like, no, stop lying to me. This is the So Elemental palette, and all I can think of is denim jean, you know? It's reminding me a little bit of, oh, who was it? Was it NYX? Was it Elf, who did the collaboration with American Eagle. We've had some weird collaborations over the last couple of years, but it's giving me denim jeans. Nothing about this that's necessarily elemental, but there you go, elementary dear Watson. This is coming out March 21st. It's going to be $14. They say that there's matte, metallic and pearlescent glitter finishes. I mean, we've seen this before. I don't trust their pictures. They're always very pale leaning. They never quite look like that. I generally tend to wait until I can see somebody actually physically holding their palettes and going, this is what this looks like. They historically have a massive issue in terms of having palettes that are catered towards deeper skin tones. Jesus, this is the theme of this bloody video, is me giving out that lack of inclusivity. I'm sorry, and I realise the irony of me being like the fucking shade of my wall and giving out about this, but I just don't understand how we're still even having to have this conversation, because it doesn't make sense to me. Like, we need to have moved on from this, but I don't get it. It is very pale leaning. I know that shade Sia is like the darkest shade, but like, I feel like we could go a lot darker there, because everything else is very, very pale. Very, very pale. It's fine. Like, I don't hate it as a palette. Like, when it came out initially as the Baroque palette. That's why I'm doing this. When it came out as a Baroque palette, I was like, oh, that's actually quite interesting. It's quite nice. I like it. I like a blue toned palette. But I didn't get it. Yeah, Colourpop have just done too much over the years that now they are just recycling their stuff. And we're all seeing it. Like, everyone sees it. I feel really bad for people who may have started off and kind of being like, I want to be a Colourpop collector. Look, I'm not going to judge you because I collect things as well. So, you know, there'll be no judgment over here. But it must be so frustrating for people who started off on the collection train and now they're seeing that the palettes are recycling back in and out, but just with a different name and slightly different packaging. Like, it's a bit weird. Now, we don't have any swatches yet, so maybe they'll miraculously swatch differently. I know I'm not going to say much on that because their swatches are always dreadful. They never give you a very good idea of things. It's fine. It's very denim jeans. It is giving me like the early noughties, which I don't hate. However, I think this is too similar to the Twilight palette that they just did not that long ago. There's a lot of shades here that will kind of map onto that, so a little bit unnecessary, but I don't know, I feel very weird about that. I feel like I haven't heard from Colourpop that much over the last couple of months because you guys don't really tag me and stuff because I think, you know, it drives me a little bit nuts. And I had kind of hoped that they were quietening down a little bit, but then they do things like this and I'm like, what are you doing, lads? This is so disjointed and so all over the place that I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, totally unnecessary. If you have the Baroque palette, if you have the Twilight palette, you probably don't need this. But now, my gorgeous friends, we're on to sneak peeks, and this one, I just talked about Colourpop and I'm going to talk about them again, but this time in a much more positive light because I am excited. I was born in 1990, can you tell? So I grew up with Pokemon. I loved it, and I think a lot of you guys are actually in this because I had a lot of people commenting being like, Pokemon, 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 which, by the way, so hard to say. How do you get a Pikachu onto a bus? Yeah, Pokemon. I'm sorry, I hate myself too. But I am genuinely very excited about this. I think this could actually be quite interesting. Oh my god, I have so many thoughts about what could potentially be cute. A little Jigglypuff sponge. How cute would that be? A little Clefairy. Oh my god. I'm so excited. No, like I need to stop. I am very intrigued by this. I had one person say that like a little Pokeball mirror, like a little handheld compact, how fucking cute would that be? Oh, I love that. So, so cool. I am so intrigued by this. I wonder what they're going to do. And I swear if they F this up, I'm going to be so upset. Like unreasonably upset. Like I'm a 33-year-old woman. I shouldn't be getting upset about this sort of thing. But I do love, by the way, that Pokemon was actually made by an autistic creator. So I think as an extra thing, I kind of get a bit like, oh, it's brilliant. I'm so excited, but also like if they ruin this, please don't ruin this, Colourpop. Please don't ruin this. I've gone so long without doing a Colourpop order, and then I broke and I got the Twilight one, which is the first time in like close to 4 years. And now it looks like this is going to be my second one. My mind is blown. Now they could absolutely F it up, but it does look like they're kind of almost going for the nostalgia because they're showing a lot of the badges that would have been like in the original, like way back in the day. Oh my god, wouldn't it be so cool if they had a Team Rocket palette with Jessie and James and Meowth? Oh my god, I think I would actually die. It's Jessie, it's James. Oh my god, I have so many thoughts on this as to how this could potentially go. It's either going to be amazing or it's going to make me break down in tears. But I'm excited about this. I hope it goes really, really well. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited about this? Are you as unhinged as I am? Who knows? The very last thing that I want to talk about is Lisa Eldridge, and she's coming out with these seamless skin enhancing tint drops on March 19th. Now I think I also heard that Space NK are now stocking Lisa Eldridge, which, if that's true, fantastic, because I've kind of always wanted to try Lisa Eldridge. She's been on like my radar for a while, but because I'm stupid, bear with me, I tend to go onto a site and not just buy one thing. Because in my mind, this is my math. Why would I pay for the shipping for just one item? Let's spread it out over several items. I never said it made sense. This is the way that my brain works. So I think it would actually be better if it was on Space NK, because then I could pick it up along with other things that I might, quote unquote, need. I don't need anything. I'm stupid. I personally like skin tints because I find, again, as I age, I don't want very heavy coverage. I just find it doesn't suit me. It doesn't look right on me. I like something that I can still kind of see my natural skin peeking out. This is interesting. Now, when I did see this, I was like, is it an Easter egg? Because they were sneak peeking it. And I was like, is she doing Easter eggs? Because I know P. Louise is doing Easter eggs that have things in them. But it's also very confusing because she's also showing chocolate. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Are you selling me makeup? Are you selling me chocolate? What's happening? I like chocolate. I'm definitely interested in this. Anything I've ever heard about Lisa Eldridge always tends to be like super, super positive. So this is definitely on my radar. I want to see how much it is. But yeah, we'll know in the next couple of days what the story is. I don't need it. I won't get it straight away because Lord knows I do not need it. But my gorgeous friends, that is essentially it. That's the whole kit and caboodle for this week. However, I do have a very, very important poll that I put to you guys during the week over on Instagram, and I'm going to show it to you now. It's my precious boy Darcy. I said it's an unsolicited cat pic. Yes, isn't he the most beautiful? And 56% of you correctly said yes, he is precious. 26% also gave the correct answer of course he is precious, and 18% also gave the there's no option for no because that's stupid. All of you are correct. 100% of you are right. Sorry, I just needed to insert him. I need to insert Cece at some point, but it's very, very difficult to get a black cat in the photo because, you know, she is the void. I do have my favourite comment, and this is from the fabulous Kaylee. They said, I got all 4 Mitchell palettes for £38 off TikTok shop with vouchers. The quality is outstanding. The shimmers are out of this world. Cannot wait for the skin tint and concealer coming soon. This is the thing, right? If I had TikTok shop, I would totally get it on that because that price, mwah, fantastic for that. And I mean, why not sell it that way? I cannot get over how much Beauty Bay was charging for that. Like, ugh, obscene. I still think, and I agree with Janet on this, if he had put all of those shades into the one palette, it would have been so much better. I'm definitely interested in the skin tint and concealer. This is something his brand has been missing, and I think he can do this very, very well. So I'm for sure intrigued by that. But my gorgeous friends, that is it. As you are watching this, I am probably sitting in a dentist chair. I know, terrible. That's why I'm not quite with it, because I have to get a lot of dental work done tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Irish time. I don't take very good care of myself. So I'm going to the dentist tomorrow. Pray for me, light a candle, do a little dance. Maybe put a tooth emoji down below to show that you care. But yeah, I'm quite anxious. Can you tell? But hopefully I'll be with it enough for the rest of the week to update you on any more new makeup releases that you guys want to talk about. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I don't think you guys know how much I appreciate all of your interaction. It means so much to me. I hope you have a fantastic St. Patrick's Day, wherever you are, whether you celebrate it or not. I just hope you have a fabulous day. But my gorgeous friends, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell and do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case just wrap it up. Don't be gross, but that's it. That's the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.